Hey there! Welcome to Professor Purl, a YouTube channel about knitting. I'm Nicole, and this is episode 30. You can find me as profpurl on Ravelry, Instagram. We've got a Ravelry group if you use Ravelry. Everything I'll talk about today, all that information is linked below. So it's the 30th episode on this channel. I'm so excited because I just have I feel like good knitting content today because I've just been finding a lot of joy with my knitting. I've been knitting a lot, and so I'm just really excited to record this. So I have a cool FO, some test knits, some acquisitions, some joy, some new cast-ons. It's all the things. So if you're into that, grab some tea or coffee, have a little sip knit, hang out here. Before I hop into those things, I do want to announce a winner from last week's podcast. So Anna from Zebra Yarns donated this really cool self-striping yarn, and the colorway is called Newsprint, and this is a 75% merino, 25% nylon, and there's this is a 50 gram skein and then a kind of cream or bear mini, which I think will look really cute with it. And it comes with this very cute progress keeper. So the question for the giveaway last week was to share your sock knitting opinions. And what I loved about that was just the variety, but also the motivation. So many people said the shadow wrap heel, that they would love a shadow wrap heel. And I've never tried that. So I'll talk about this in whips, but I'm going to try this. The winner for this is Ravelry Crafts. So if you're watching this, reach out to me on Instagram, Ravelry, or my email and give me your address and I will send this your way. Okay, let's hop into the FO, which is what I'm wearing. And I really did wear it like this today. So, okay, where to start with this? This is a test knit done early, not even on a crunch at all. This test knit is due February 26th. Today's February 17th. And this has been done for a while now. And it is the Harvest Hues by Tamy Gore. Let me pop this over for everybody to see here. It's a triangular shawl that you can see is quite large. And it's meant for 3 colors of worsted weight yarn. Essentially, you would need 2 skeins of what's called the main color, color 1, which is, in my case, this color here. And then 1 skein of each of the other colors. So yeah, and you use a lot of it. So you use up your yarn, which always feels really good. But it's I didn't play yarn chicken at all. So I mean, if you got that recommended amount, you'd use almost all of it up and have a little bit left over. I might make a little ascot or something like that. Okay, so top down, so it's triangular, top down, I guess. Traditional triangular construction, I'm saying. And it starts off with this brioche section, 2-color brioche, which was really attractive to me to give me something new to learn and try. This is only my 3rd brioche project. And I learned some new increases with it. And I also learned that this is called syncopated brioche, where you switch. And then I got to do color work flat, which meant I got to purl some color work for the first time. So for me, this was quite the learning. I had learning experience. I got to learn 2 things, and so that was super fun. And it produced something that I'm really obsessed with. I love it. I used Western Sky fibers, and the darker, it's almost looking like black or something, or brown, but it's like a dark purple brown, like a purpley brown. That's pretty true to color here. And that's called Katherine, and then this is called Berry, and this is called Dune. And it's technically a DK weight, but it was like a non-superwash and very plump. And so I knew I could knit it at a worsted gauge, and I did. And it's so good. And it's like one of those times where like the perfect yarn and the perfect pattern just coalesce, and you're just like so excited. So this is my third test knit for Tamy Gore. She's an amazing designer. You probably already check her out, but if you haven't, like go check her Instagram or her Ravelry out. She's got so many things. And there are these kind of designs like this that are just really fun, but also classic at the same time. Like you just see yourself using this forever. So yeah, as soon as I finished knitting this, as soon as it came off the needles, Matilda, my 5-year-old, Matilda grabbed it from me and she wrapped it around herself and was calling it her blanket. Then I blocked it and I was wearing it and she's like, I want it. And she put it around herself and she started calling it her warmie. And so now every time I wear it, she's like, I want my warmie. And she kind of like steals it from me and puts it around herself. And so I've worn it 2 different ways. One way is out and about. It's been really kind of cold out here in the Pacific Northwest. I think today's really sunny and I think a high of 51 degrees Fahrenheit, but it's been pretty cold, like sometimes in the 30s. The Rose City Yarn Crawl that's coming up next week, it's gonna be a high of 32. So I'll get to wear this and it'll be great and cozy. So I've been wearing it a lot like this. You can see the brioche section kind of like pops in, but like you can, I've also kind of like brought it up more like this. The thing I like about the brioche section is when I'm wearing it over my shoulders, which is how I was wearing it this afternoon. Oh, if you're new here, this is the Professor Purl channel, and I call it Professor Purl because I'm a professor. And so at my university, we had a writing day today, and so there was like lunch provided and coffee and like a space, and all of us like gathered together and wrote, and it was pretty cold in there. And so I just kind of like wrapped this up like this and was writing, and it was really good. But what I like is see how this kind of brioche section kind of pops up. It makes it like extra cozy. Anyway, so I can't wear this now without thinking of it as my warmie, as Matilda called it. I would knit another one of these. Like it was just so good, just so cozy. Anyway, I'm so proud of myself for this test knit being done early. And the only reason why it's done early is just because I couldn't put it down. I just had to knit it. Let's talk whips, works in progress. I have a lot of whips and a lot of things I worked on in the last 2 weeks. However, I have 2 main whips, 2 main works in progress that have been really consuming me, and both of them are test knits and both of them are sweater test knits. I'm trying to decide which one I want to start talking about. Maybe I'll start with one in this bag here. This is I don't know if it's called a sweater bag or a large bag, but it's from Molly Klein Designs, and it's my only bag I have from Molly Klein Designs. And what really drew me in was the fabric. This little mice family situation. These 2 right here, this really just got me. This test knit is the Heritage Harbor by Samantha Guerin Designs. I'm having so much fun with this. Okay, let me think here about where I want to start with this. So I'll just kind of hold it up a little bit. Maybe I'll show the back side so you can see more of the colors. So the test knit is a drop shoulder design, knit top down in 2 colors. So a main color and a contrasting color. And the pro to that is that you don't have, for these stripes, many ends to weave in. The design is made so that you're carrying the yarn up the sides. As you can see, I'm doing lots of colors, and so I'm not carrying the yarn up the side. I'm choosing to weave in my ends, but I'll talk about that more. I'm loving it. I think this design is so classic in 2 colors and beautiful, but I'm really loving my kind of all the colors version. Okay, let me start by talking about the yarn. So I've had this yarn for a long time. I have a 5-year-old and I've had this yarn since before Matilda. So I don't know when I got this yarn, but it is older than 5 years old. And the main color is West Yorkshire Spinners. This is 100% British wool. This is DK weight, 100% blue-faced Leicester, 100% BFL. And so it's not superwash yarn and is undyed and it's really soft. And when I purchased this hank was $14.50 US dollars. So it's pretty economical and it's really soft, though it's not superwash. I think like if you were transitioning to using non-superwash wool, this would be a really good one because it's so soft. This is also non-superwash wool and it is also incredibly soft, like next to skin. So both of these would be good options as like a first non-superwash if you only use superwash. And yeah, so when I purchased this, I bought a sweaters quantity thinking I'd make a cape-fold sweater, and I haven't yet. And so I could keep saving it for that or just use it for this test knit. And so I decided to use it for this test knit. And I also have a MadTosh 12 days of Christmas, 12 days of Tosh, like one of those like kind of yarn advent situations from MadTosh. And I have one from 2021 that's DK that I haven't used. Now that is superwash, so I am mixing non-superwash and superwash. I think it's gonna be okay though, and actually better than okay. I'm really enjoying that. I'm hoping that the non-superwash will help kind of keep some of the superwash in, because superwash can stretch more than non-superwash. And so this is one of the mini skeins. It's very pinky. That's actually gonna be my next color here. So I don't remember all the names of these, but I'm loving them. I do remember the name of this one, which was Reading in Bed. That was very easy for me to remember. I think this one's called Kitten. I don't remember the name of this one, but I love it because it's kind of pinky red. And this is a different color, but it'll come here and you can see it feels really cohesive. The designer, when I posted a picture of this in our test knitting thread, the designer said, I can't wait to see how your color story plays out. And I just really enjoyed that kind of idea of thinking about like this being a color story through it. And so, yeah, so the design is not meant to be like an Advent sweater or something like this. But my opinion is that you could use it that way for sure. Like you could hold your fingering minis double. You could use, if you have the DK ones, use those. And maybe you won't use all of them, or maybe you will. You definitely wouldn't use all of them, but I just love it. I just think it looks, like I feel like it's such a classic sweater. And then I'm just adding a little bit of fun to it with like all these colors. So I'm just loving it. Let's talk drop shoulders. This is not my first time knitting a drop shoulder sweater, but I will say knitting this made me realize like how much I don't knit drop shoulders. Like I mostly knit circular yokes, which makes sense because I knit a lot of colorwork sweaters and some love notes. So it makes sense that mostly what I'm doing is a circular yoke. But yeah, I really haven't knit many of these. And so it was fun to do something different. And basically the way a drop shoulder works is you start with the back and you knit a bit of the back. Then you pick up one side and you knit a little bit. You pick up another side and you knit a little bit, and then you join. And I would say even though it's not a circular yoke, I still put on like the purl strings and tried it on. And that was so important because I realized that if I knit it exactly the way the pattern was, I wouldn't wear it. And that's for my size, like basically where the armpit was, like it was like right in my armpit, like right in there, the fabric. And I wasn't sure if I could change it or not. So I emailed, I posted it in the thread, the Ravelry thread we're using for the test knit. And I asked if I could extend the armhole more than what the design says so that it can fit me in a way that I know that I'll wear. Basically, through this test knit, I realized that I don't own any garments or wear any garments where the fabric is ever in my armpit. And then I like it that way. So I really needed it to not touch my armpit. So I did add actually 2 inches, and I tried it on, and I would say I could have even had more, but I didn't want to add more than 2 inches to the armhole. And so I haven't got to that part of the pattern, but I'm sure that will maybe affect how many stitches I'm picking up and what I do next. And I'll be sure to keep communicating in the thread about that. But this is due end of March, mid to end of March, and I'm just well on my way to making that happen. It's sort of a very good project if you want a blend of easy knitting, knitting where you can get a flow and also interest, because just when you kind of get tired of doing stockinette, you add in a new color, and then you're doing a bunch of stockinette, and then you do this fun texture that's super easy. And so it just really keeps my interest, and I just want to work on it. And again, I think it's just going to be one of these classic things that I will have in my wardrobe for a really long time. And I just have been looking forward to coming home from work and knitting on this at night. And then I look forward to winding up my little mini to add in my stripe. Oh, one last thing about it, talking about stripes. So you don't have to do this. You don't have to do a jogless stripe. You could just keep knitting. But if you do that, there will be a little shift where your stripes are, and it's placed in your armpit, so you could just do that and who cares, right? But I thought, making a handmade garment that I'm going to be wearing for a long time, I want it to be extra special. So I wanted to do the jogless stripes, and the designer, Samantha Guerin, has made a reel that's on Instagram on how to do that. I have been doing that, and that's been really good. The reason why you get a little shift with your stripes is because knitting is helical. That's kind of my joke about when people say they're helical knitting is all knitting is helical. You don't knit a row and then put another row on top. You knit a row and it keeps going up and up and up. All knitting is helical. And so when you are doing a helical knit, because all of your knitting is helical, and then you add in an extra color, it's going to keep stacking. And so it'll never line up perfect. So basically you have to do a strategy to kind of bring up the one side, which is why a lot of people do kind of a lifted decrease. So loving this design, this test knit. So let's talk about my next test knit, which is also a sweater. I am test knitting a cardigan, and it is called the Plump Cardigan. I'm test knitting for Mar All, who is knitting Ruin My Life. and I love a lot of her designs, and this is my first time knitting something of hers, so I'm really excited. And this cardigan is something I think I'm gonna wear so much. I'll show you my little yarn. So I'm using Boucle. This is Chelsea Luxe Boucle. I think in Chelsea's Coupe is the color, and I'm holding mohair with it. The original design calls for Plump, a spin cycle yarn that's new and coming out. And I'm getting gauge of Plump with these two together. I am mid short row, so, and I wasn't gonna let that stop me from podcasting. So, okay, first of all, just keep in mind, it's 2 weeks since I last podcasted. I finished this whole shawl, started that test knit, the Heritage Harbor, and look how much I got done here. Remember I said that like I've been knitting a lot? Like, I feel like, I mean, I've been working a lot, but I just am like frantically knitting when I'm not working because it's bringing me joy and de-stressing me. So look at that. So far, like, it's kind of like in a really weird spot to show because it looks like this is way longer than here, because it is. Basically, you knit this cardigan and you come down here, and on the left front, you do some short row shaping, which the designer used German short rows, which made my heart sing, because I always follow test knit rules, like directions, not rules, sorry. I always follow test knit directions precisely in a pattern. Like I feel like I'm test knitting, and you need to do exactly what it says, except for short rows. Like if a designer has wrap and turns, I'm just not. Like, let me know if you have an opinion about your short rows. But to me, there's one short row and it's German short rows, and it's the only way to go. So anyway, she uses German short rows, and I was so excited. So you do a bunch of short rows and you kind of make this like curved hem. And then you come around, and this is what I'm working on now. You do a bunch of short rows here and make like a curved hem, and then you come around, and so genius. Because it makes such a cute little curved bottom detail, and it's super simple to do. Yeah, this is flying. I guess the saying goes, the sweater knit itself is like kind of how I feel that how this is going, because it's a sweater with a lot of interest, and you're just like, well, but you get through the sections quickly because it's knit at such a large gauge. Like I think the gauge here is 12 stitches per 4 inches. So I mean, that's a large gauge. And interestingly enough, I think it's, I don't know the name of it. I think it's technically drop shoulder because you knit the back first and then kind of do a similar thing where you come down. The armholes in this fit me like a dream, exactly like everything I'd ever want, which is exciting because I imagine wearing a t-shirt underneath this or something like that. Like, this is so fun. So I'm just imagining like a cute knitting t-shirt, which is like one of my favorite things to wear. This over. But I can also dress this up as a professor, so I can wear this to work. Anyway, I'm just like dreaming about it instead of talking about the knitting. It's so fun. Next week is the roasted yarn crawl, and I would like to wear this on the roasted yarn crawl. There's part of me that's like, Nicole, this is delusional. You're not gonna finish this next week for the roasted yarn crawl. But then there's a part of me that's just like clinging to this delusion that I can do this because it's knit at such a large gauge. And if I really just focused on this and not my other test knit, I think I could just crank this out. Like, because it's like, so I'm still gonna try. I'm still gonna try to finish this for the roasted yarn crawl. It's supposed to be cold. I have cute knitting t-shirts. I'm so committed to this idea of finishing it for the roasted yarn crawl that I got my nails done yesterday, and I actually got them done to match my sweater. So obviously I really want to make this happen. I don't know what else to say other than I'm obsessed with this. Oh, I guess I have a funny story about it, which is the designer like has wrote in places to put in stitch markers to help keep track of your short rows. And so I think that's so fun. And I have these really fun kind of like, I'm a big Disney fan. These like I have these fun stitch markers. And I was like, oh, what a great excuse to use these. Yay, so excited. And since they were gold, I decided to go through kind of my like collection of progress keepers. And I have a subscription to the Arkansas yarn store, the Arkansas Yarn Company, their Sac Society box, and you always get like a state of Arkansas kind of progress keeper. So I picked one that had a gold, so it matched. And then it just happened to be kind of orange sparkly, which looks good with this. And so I'm just liking my knitting jewelry. But my funny story around that is I brought this to work with me for a meeting, and people were like staring at the knitting. And I thought, oh, they're gonna wanna know about this beautiful cardigan. And because they weren't knitters, were just more kind of enthralled about the knitting jewelry, wanted to know like what I was doing with all these like charms in my knitting. Like, was I knitting them into something? And I was like, oh, let me explain stitch markers and progress keepers to you. So anyway, I love mohair. I love mohair, like holding it double with things. I love that. And now I'm doing that with boucle. And this is my first time knitting with boucle, and I love it. Like, is boucle trendy? It might be. And if that's the case, and if this is trendy, I'm just gonna have to wear this like every day now until it's not. Okay, so 2 test knits. That one's due before the other. So my Plump Cardigan is due before my Heritage Harbor. I feel, though, that I'm on track for both of them. So it's not bringing me stress at all to have 2 test knit sweaters. It's just bringing me joy. And work has been just a lot. Professor life, a lot. Love my students, love my classes, but like the whole university academia situation, sometimes it's just so stressful. And so it's been... I've just so much joy in my knitting, just so much. Okay, I have more whips, but they're also acquisitions. So the next section, which is acquisitions, is gonna be more like acquisitions / whips. This section is the acquisition / whips. New works in progress section. Basically, I have had some acquisitions, but I've just immediately started using them. So it's kind of acquisition / whips. One of my acquisitions was a new bag from Barley Pearls. I was watching my friend Emily. Emily and I met up this winter in December. Or maybe it was January. Oh my goodness. No, it was definitely December. We met up in December, and Emily is the Botanical Knitter on Instagram and has a new podcast, which is amazing. Like, of course it is. Like, you should just, if you follow her, you know, like of course it's going to be amazing, her podcast. So anyway, I just loved her first episode. You should go check it out if you haven't yet. And I'm watching her first episode, and she pulls out this exact bag, like size large, library cards, snaps. So it's definitely like obviously heavily influenced by Emily. And that was the moment, like that bag, those snaps on Emily's podcast, like that's what influenced me. So I bought one immediately. And as soon as it came, I started using it and to tote my whips back and forth to school. I brought it today to my writing session, and I've been bringing it to class with me every day. I don't always knit during class, but if my students are presenting, I do sit in the back of the classroom and knit. And so you can see what I've been bringing every day. And the snaps. I just like that noise. It's so good. Snap, snap. Okay. Okay, so the first acquisition / whip. Well, I guess this is my only acquisition set. Oh my gosh, there's cheese and crackers in here. Like, I obviously didn't eat my cheese and crackers at my writing thing. Okay, so I haven't ever had a yarn subscription of any kind or a club. I've never done that because I was like, I don't need random skeins coming in. But last year sometime, I started the Sac Society from the Arkansas Yarn Company, and I love it. And I look forward to getting it, and it doesn't feel like random skeins, even though it is just sort of like a single skein coming in. And I find myself just wanting to cast it on immediately. And so that's what's happening. I received my February box, and this color is called Give Them Something to Talk About. And it came with, this is the part that threw me out, like head over heels, and like I had to cast it on. So the color is called Let's Give Them Something to Talk About, or something like that. And then it came with candy hearts, like conversation hearts. And then here's the progress keeper. This is Be Mine. And do you see how that coordinates just like beautifully? And then it was like, you know, Valentine's Day season. Valentine's Day is past now, but I was like, I have to cast this on. And then the other thing is I've been wanting like a special Sophie scarf, or like I want to make more than one Sophie scarf or more than one like ascot situation, because I have one Sophie scarf and like 2 like regular ascots, and I wear them a ton. And so I want to knit more, but I wanted like a special needle. So that it was like my ascot needle. That sounds super weird, but it's what I wanted. And so I ordered these needles, and they came. So this came, and then my new needle came, and I was like, yeah, I have 2 tests going on, but I have to cast a Sophie scarf on. And I think I was just having a particularly bad day at work one day. I just came home and I was like winding that yarn up, feeling all the joy. Yeah, so this needle, oh my gosh, I'm gonna wreck over here. This needle is by Addie, and it's called a unicorn. I don't know. They have this kind of like texture here. The needles are not exceptionally sharp, but I actually like that because I'm a very loose knitter, so I don't need super sharp needles for something like this. And so, yeah, like I know people say like, Sophie scarf, she knit in a night. It's not something I can knit in a night, but I also don't work on it at night. I've just brought this to work with me. I teach a math class for future teachers, and they had these really tough problems that I gave them. They had 2 weeks to work on them, and then they needed to like lead a class discussion, not just like a lecture, like lead a class discussion on these like kind of like challenging problems. And so my role in that is to like help ask good questions if they're like struggling, but like also just sit on the side and let them take the lead. And so over the past like 2 weeks, this is what I've done in that class while we're talking about math. And so to say that I have like the most good feelings about this Sophie scarf would be an understatement, because this yarn is amazing. This needle's amazing. So as soon as I finish one of these, I'm just gonna start another one. I think it would be extra cool if I just like finish this Sophie scarf up, and then when my next Arkansas like Sac Society box comes, I just cast another one on with this. What I've been doing is winding the yarn up in a cake. This is the second time I've done this with the Arkansas Yarn Company yarn like this. I have the Yummy Plush maybe base. I don't know. I should know better since I'm podcasting this, or I should know better since I'm like, you know, sharing about this, but whatever it is, so soft, doesn't have the sparkle. And anyway, I'm holding it double, and that is the second time I've done this, and I love it. I love holding this yarn double like this. Like, it's so good. And so that's how I'm getting my Sophie scarf gauge. And I'll have a lot left over, I have a feeling. I've been weighing it because my thought was I could do it until the pattern says to go and then go in half, or I could use up, like go until it's like 50 grams. And so that it's like half and half. I don't know what I'll do, but I have weighed it, so I am prepared. I just think this yarn looks so good held double with the Sophie scarf, because like you can really see the I-cord edging. I knit another Sophie scarf and it's a little fuzzy, and I don't know, it just wasn't as crisp in stitch definition as this, and so I'm really liking this a lot. And just, oh, so good. Okay, so I've like gone on too much about the Sophie scarf. I'm gonna stop. Okay, The last time I recorded, I asked you to help me decide what socks to cast on for Valentine's Day. And I would say the overwhelming majority said the hot pink and black. And so I went with that. I agreed with everybody. I was like, I don't know how I didn't see it before. A lot of people were like, the other one looks like a good Easter cast on. And I was like, it does. So this is Zebra Yarns, hot pink and black, and this very fun mini. And Tuesday was Valentine's Day. And so I didn't get very far because, I'm knitting other things. Also, I'm the slowest twisted rib person. Did I have to do twisted rib? No, but I really felt like I wanted to do twisted rib, so did that. So I just have this wee little bit. This is reminding me. I forgot last episode, I just announced the winner of the Zebra Yarns early in this episode, and I forgot too, there is a discount code and it's podcast 10. So if you use podcast 10 until the end of the month, you get 10% off a Zebra Yarn order. Okay. The one thing I wanted to mention about this that I thought that I really have enjoyed is I'm like 99% sure it was Alexandra from Fiberbound podcast, but who knows? I'm fairly certain it was her. I'm sorry if it wasn't her. And she's like, I didn't say that. I think she suggested a long time ago that she basically gets to a color transition. Okay, of course I'm doing this one so far away. Okay, where's the... Okay, here we go. Here, a color transition like this. And so then she casts on like this, does a long tail cast on like this, where it's like half and half. So this is like your first stitch with the color transition. And so when you do that, what ends up happening is the bottom of your cast on is like the one color, and then you're knitting with the other color. So you get this like little line at the top. And so I did that and I loved it. And I'm pretty sure Alexandra taught me how to do that. So that sock, I'm just going to knit it plain vanilla, but I'm going to use Denise from Earth Tones Girl, her shadow wrap heel. So many people in the comments were like, shadow wrap, shadow wrap, shadow wrap. And I'm like, I love learning new things. Why am I only doing afterthought heels and heel flaps and gussets? It's literally all I do, ever. So I'm gonna learn something new. I'm really, really excited about that. That wasn't a new acquisition recently, but felt new to me because I've been holding on to it, wanting to knit with it. So anyway, those are my two new cast-ons in a world where I didn't need more cast-ons, but it was Valentine's Day and I just really wanted to treat myself, and so I did. We are to the Professor's Pearls section of the episode. I haven't done one of these in a while, maybe since before Christmas. And basically this section of the episode is where I connect my professor life to my knitting life. And yeah, so it'll probably come as no surprise to you today. We are talking about joy. It's on my mind because of my knitting life and my professor life. So in my professor world, I am currently writing up a paper due next week. I wrote for 4 hours today and I just needed a break, which is why I'm recording this a little bit. I'm writing a paper on joy in mathematics, like ways that young children have joy in mathematics and like what that specifically looks like. And I'm using like a framework on like what joy is. There are like some frameworks that exist about joy, like in the literature, like some examples of joy are like, things you would expect, like pleasure, like laughing, smiling, these like kind of physical attributes. And other things are like excitement, which maybe don't look physical or cleverness or awareness, things like this. So what does that have to do with knitting? Knitting is bringing me joy. Sometimes it's not an outward smile on my face, and sometimes it's not always like fun. Like maybe I don't enjoy weaving in all my ends of my mini skeins, but it's still bringing me pleasure. And yeah, so it is no understatement to say that my knitting is bringing me joy in a season where I need that, and I'm so appreciative of it. And so with that said, on Valentine's Day, I wound up yarn, I cast on some socks, and I wound up more yarn because I wanted to cast on a second pair, but I ran out of needles. And so I have ordered more needles. Like, I should finish socks to have needles, or I can just buy more. I feel like I heard Kay from the Crazy Sac Lady say this a few years ago. And at the time I was thinking like, no, I just need to finish and get my sock needles available, but not in this case. I want to cast these on. And so I've ordered more needles, and as soon as they come, maybe I will cast this on. And I don't have any guilt around it because I need that joy in my life as a human. And so, yeah, so this yarn is hand dyed by Merino Vino, and it's called Professor's Pearls Pinks. And yeah, so this was a gift. This was gifted, and one was gifted to me, the one I wound up, and one is for you. So I am going to give this to a viewer, mail this to a viewer who comments below. Also, please subscribe if you haven't already. And just tell me what's bringing you joy. And I will pick a winner and announce that in the next episode. And who knows, maybe I'll already have mine cast on, maybe I won't, but maybe we can knit socks together. No pressure, you don't have to knit socks. You can knit whatever you want out of these. This was calling me. I just really like this pink. And you can see just kind of like, I can see myself like wearing this with these socks and like match it. Like these socks and this sweater, like look at that. I'm having a moment. It's all like looking good together. I just really needed it. It's hard to see maybe in this lighting here, but there's like little black brown specks. Side note, don't my nails look good with this yarn too? So yeah, when my needles arrive, more to come there. So tell me what's bringing you joy. I think I've shared a lot today about how all the joy I'm feeling, but yeah, I didn't finish reading anything. I'll eventually talk about like my personal life here soon, but a long joy. I haven't finished reading any books recently, and partly it's because like all this stuff I'm doing with joy right now, and I'm reading a lot about joy, and yeah, there's so much good stuff out there. Like there's stuff about joy as a form of resistance, joy as a form of empowerment, black joy. There's just a lot of really good stuff about joy out there. If I remember, I'll link some things below if you want to go check them out. So, you know, I'm thinking about joy in my personal life. It's so important for people to experience joy in math because a lot of people don't like math. And so if we can like name and call out joyful elements, I think that's really important. Like for us as teachers, to help people experience joy. Everybody deserves to have joy in math. And I feel that same way about life. Like everybody deserves to experience joy in life. And it doesn't mean that it's fun. Like joy is more than fun. And for me, knitting is that. Like it's a space where I feel like I'm me, and it's a space where I have excitement and I like, there's community. Like that's another part of joy, is like, it's more than an individual, it's a collective. That was one of my frameworks. And like, and I feel that way with the knitting. It sounds super cheesy, but it's like every time you comment, like I'm like, if you suggest a pattern, you know, I'm like looking it up, or, you know, I'm finding friends on Instagram, and like, there's just like, this is all about friendship making and collective. And so it's also really a space of joy in that way too. So all about joy today. Okay, we are to the personal section of the episode. Normally I say from this point forward, there's no more yarn. So if you're not interested in non-yarn things, this is the end. That's not quite true today because I'm going to share my Rose City yarn crawl plans, and one of my personal things was a little fiber adjacent. So, but it is all personal. So let me start with my Rose City yarn crawl plans. I got my computer up here. I am, for some reason, very into the Rose City yarn crawl with like a chart this year. Normally I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. We'll see where the wind takes me. And that was interesting because that was what happened last year. Like last year I had no plans of doing all the stores. And I was like, if I go to a couple, that's good. And then I ended up going to all of them. And I didn't buy a tote bag or anything. This year I bought a tote bag. I'm trying to schedule it out to see if I can go to all the stores. It might not be possible, but I'm just like a lot more organized this year. So, okay. Thursday, February 23rd, the Rose City yarn crawl starts. I have to work. I'm a professor, you know, I've got a job. So I have a talk actually I'm giving. And so at my university, so I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to head out in the late afternoon and go to the trunk show at Naughty Land. So if you are a crawlin' and you want to meet up with me, I will be at Naughty Land on Thursday afternoon. And there's a coffee shop nearby. Of course, I don't have it listed here. Okay. There's a coffee shop nearby. I forget the name of it. And I'm going to be there at 3 p.m. drinking coffee and knitting for fun. So if you want to meet up with me and drink coffee, we can do that. I've made a thread on Ravelry called Rose City Yarn Crawl, and I also have been posting a bit about it on my Instagram. So that is a safe way to connect with me. Yeah, let's see here if I have the name of the coffee place. Yes, it's called Telvit Coffee. I've never been there. I mean, if I'm gonna drink coffee, I'm gonna do it where I live. Or like get a to-go cup. So I'm not gonna drive like out to Naughty Land. It's about a half-hour drive, so I think that's part of it. So a little sip knit action at Naughty Land on Thursday. Okay. Then on Friday of the Rose City Yarn Crawl, I'm going with Courtney, who's Shea Crochet on Instagram. Where are we going? I'm not sure. She's pretty go with the flow. And so I don't exactly know. I have some ideas in my chart with question marks. I need to contact her. Ritual dyes, maybe? Maybe she suggests that. So my Friday's a little unsure. Okay. Saturday, Friday, February 20. Wait, I have 2 February 23rds. I am a wreck here. So Friday is the 24th. See, I better update this chart. Okay, so Saturday the 25th, I'm going with Kyle and Matilda. And I think that automatically means, I mean, bringing a 5-year-old with you, like, you know, like it's gonna be a little bit like, we're not going to like all the stores. Before Matilda was born, Kyle and I would go to this knitting group really regularly in a town next to us. And I'm hoping to meet up with those people from that knitting group. And so I'm going to Starlight, hopefully around the same time as them, maybe not, on Saturday morning. We're gonna do lunch at Bollywood, which is near Close Knits. And I would say every single yarn crawl but last year that I've gone to, on Saturday, I've ate lunch at Bollywood. There's something magical about eating Bollywood lunch and then going to Close Knits. Close Knits is next to Bollywood. And Earl Grey fibers, who I love, and I have some yarn that I've enjoyed knitting, a sweater, socks. Haven't finished any of them, but anyway, Earl Grey fibers. Oh, I have a really cool knitting bag from them. They will be in a pop-up on Saturday at Close Knit, so I want to go there. If Matilda has not expired, if we go to those places and she still has some stamina, it would be cool to go to Twisted Sister. We'll see. Okay, Sunday, February 26th. The stars have aligned and my friend Brenda from Texas will be in Oregon. And so, yeah. So I think without her, I think by myself, I'm going to Powell's Books while I wait for her to show up in the Purl district. And so Powell Books, like, just side note, is amazing. It's like used and new books put together, like three city blocks. That could be an exaggerant. Like, it's a city block of a bookstore. And all these different, like, colored sections, like the purple section's my favorite. It's so good. It's so good. And so I'm gonna stop there. Not yarn related, but, well, when over there, that's what you do. And then go to Purl Fiber Arts. And I think we made that decision because that's where Brenda wants to go. She wanted to go to Purl Fiber Arts. So I'm meeting her there. And we're gonna have lunch at Deschutes Brewery. And if you are interested in having lunch on Sunday, like, come have lunch with Brenda and I at Deschutes. They have big tables. Like, message me. I can get like a reservation or something so we can have a table. So I think that's the other meetup place. That would be fun. Last year I met up with like Courtney and Anna from Zebra Yarns and McKaylee from Breaking Yarn. And I think there was somebody else. I forget her name. I think her name was Melissa. And we like knit and had a good time at Deschutes. So kind of maybe relive that. If not, it'll be just Brenda and I having a good time knitting. And then I think back to Naughty Lamb. So it would be like at least 2 trips to Naughty Lamb on the crawl. But Brenda really wants to go to Naughty Lamb. And I feel like there's going to be things there that I'm interested in seeing. Like Pearl Smith. I have so many of their stitch markers. And so they'll be there. I'd love to see that. 18th Avenue Clay. I am familiar with them from a local farmer's market. They did earrings. I don't know if they've gotten into knitting things or if it's earrings there. I don't know. Murray & Co. Wool Goods. I knit a souffle sweater. Oh, maybe I should plan to wear my souffle that day in case I see the dyer from Murray Wool Goods there. So that's the plan. That's the plan here. So let me know if you want to meet up at all. Okay. I have like not a lot to share in terms of personal things. I feel like because it's so interesting. It's been 2 weeks. I haven't finished reading a book, but it's like, I feel like I have been reading. I don't know where the time went. I feel like I haven't done anything really. But I have done a couple things. Matilda and I went to a yarn store, Wild Knits in Salem, and we met up with Anna from Zebra Yarns and her daughter. We went there because there was like a sheep event. There was these little baby lambs that you could hold and pet. Like, I held a Romney lamb. It was amazing. And like the little lambs had diapers on and they were like 4 days old and you could like hold them and it was just amazing. And it felt like almost like therapeutic. Like, it was just so good. And they smelled sheepy, obviously, because they're sheep. And then Anna's daughter and Matilda played at a park after. So that was really fun. And, you know, Matilda's just been kind of like living her preschooler life. She's wrapped up her latest session of swim. So she's taking a little, I don't want to say she's taking a break from swim because we still are taking her swimming, but she's taking a break from swim lessons. She just wrapped those up. Maybe she'll do some over spring break, or she'll resume it. She's just taking a little break from it. And she's doing dance. And this week I signed her up for a Spanish enrichment class that's going for a couple months at the university. And I've not seen her that excited ever, like ever. She was so excited to be like a college student. And so yeah, she's like taking a Spanish class at the university. So that's really cool. And she's really enjoying that. Yeah, so that's pretty much everything that's been going on. Maybe next time when I record, I will have lots of books to share that I've read, because I am reading lots, but I just haven't finished anything yet. And yeah, maybe my reading has declined a little bit because I have been just obviously knitting a ton and just getting joy out of that. Though I will say I have a Kindle. So I read books, like physical books. And I also have a Kindle, which is really nice. And I typically only read this Kindle Paperwhite like at bed, like as I'm going to sleep. Like it's like the last thing I do before I sleep. I like read for 15, 20 minutes. But though I have brought it out like of my bedroom, like so it's not just like a sleepy time thing, I have been reading a little bit and knitting, and the Kindle's really nice for that. So let me know if you're a Kindle reader while you knit. I didn't realize like how nice it was for knitting. Like I really just thought, oh, this is nice for at bed. It is epic. Like you just like knit, tap, tap. So I've been really enjoying that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So I guess have a good weekend, a good week, wherever you're watching this, and I'll see you in a couple weeks, and hopefully I will like have some more test knits done. We'll see. I do plan to vlog the Roasted Yarn Crawl. I'm not sure to the extent. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do like each day a little tiny vlog, kind of like Vlogmas, or just like one big one. Let me know if you have an opinion about that. Last year I just did one kind of long one, or maybe you wanna know like as the days are going on what it's like. So if you have an opinion, let me know about that. And yeah, bye.